Yo, yo. All right, so I got just under 20 minutes to convey what's on my mind. I gotta go do something at 2:30. The truth is dangerous. I'm gonna explain to you what I mean. So, for those of us who endeavor to walk on the righteous path, the truth is dangerous. And for most people in general, the truth is dangerous. And this is the reason why I would say the majority of people tend to live in a lie. Whether it's their lie or whether it's someone else's lie, the lie is oftentimes more comfortable than the truth. And this is kind of the difference. If you ever watch the TV series Man Who Fell to Earth, there's a point towards the end of the series, I think it was maybe like a few episodes from the end, where he started breaking down like all these kind of concepts and observations about human nature. Mind you, this was like a based on like an extraterrestrial being who came to live in Earth, and he had a certain objective and mission he needed to accomplish to get back home and be able to save his people. So one thing he was saying was that people are more comfortable lying to themselves than they are actually seeing the truth. I'm paraphrasing, but he was saying something to the effect of basically people lie to themselves all the time, and it's what makes them happy, or something to that effect. And I started thinking about it, and I was like, man, if you look at people in general, he's absolutely right. 'Cause people do it all the time. And I think about like these concepts that people use in the quote unquote entrepreneur space and all this stuff, where they're like, oh, fake it till you make it, or when it comes to music artists, or if it comes to people running personal brands, whatever, fake it till you make it, bro. Fake it till you make it, right? What's up, Ruben? And that's a lot of people subscribe to that. A lot of people subscribe to faking it till they make it, and they'll, like, if you look at like an artist, a rapper or something like that, they'll get that advance from the label, which is a loan with terrible terms, and they'll go buy a chain. They'll, let's say it's $1 million advance. They'll spend 200,000 on the chain. They might get a Hellcat, another $200,000. They'll get some clothes, blow another 250 or $300,000 off of that, and then maybe a house or some condo they'll rent out or some shit like that. Before they know it, it's gone. So then they got to do a whole bunch of music videos, and then they and release a bunch of songs and albums and all these kind of things, and be able to utilize this to recoup back what the label has gained, or what the label has granted them, and they don't get a penny out of it until they actually recoup that back. And chances are, if they're doing a music video, okay, that comes out of their budget, so it comes out of their end. If they do have to do some marketing or promo for it, okay, it comes out of their end. And if they actually were to look at these contracts, a lot of these contracts that these artists sign to, they don't even, like, basically everything will just continue to add to the bill, and they, for the most part, never get out of it. That's the way that it's structured. This is why so many artists get fucked, because they chose to fake it till they make it. They chose to not live in the truth. They chose to portray a lie. If you look at this world socioeconomically, geopolitically, however you want to look at it, there's a lot of these little bubbles of lies that people tend to live in. And sometimes it's a matter of ignorance, right? There is that sleep spell Leviathan that Dr. Malachi Z. York broke down in several of his books. Um, but sometimes it's willful. like willful ignorance. It's intentional. They don't want to see the truth, right? Because the truth is scary. It's just like in the movie The Matrix, when it came to I think it was the first movie, when Cypher, the bald guy who was on Sopranos as well, he betrayed everybody on the crew because he liked the taste of the steak. He liked how that fake steak tasted. Even though he knew it was just code and program and he knew that he was asleep, he decided he wanted to go with that taste of that fake steak. He chose the lie instead of the truth because he knew the truth was dangerous. In the concept or in the context of that movie, The Matrix, the danger of it was that outside, if they wake up, there were machines out there that were going to kill them and put them back in the machine, or kill them and harvest their energy, etc. So he rather just stayed asleep. He wasn't going to be harmed anymore, any more than he already was if he just stayed in the pod and just ate the fake steak, right? So the truth is dangerous. Now, I'll show another side of this, and I'll show where the truth is actually very, very, very important. Spoiler alert, that's everywhere. The other side of this is some of these organizations and institutions that run propaganda campaigns and psychological operations and all these kind of things, even if you want to look at like marketing campaigns, like the way that most organizations deploy it, whether it's a company, corporation, or whatever, all of these all of these situations, all these campaigns, all these psyops, they can all be broken. Like the whole illusion, all the millions and billions of dollars that they spend in some of these campaigns, it can all be shattered, oftentimes by one single point of truth. Just one thing, one idea penetrates people's minds, people that they're trying to influence, and all of a sudden the entire facade falls down like a stack of cards. So it's dangerous to them. The truth is dangerous to organizations and governments that seek to oppress the people. The truth is dangerous to corporations that seek to push products and services that are harmful to people and they're trying to frame it as helpful. Right? The truth is dangerous to, even if you break it down to an individual level, to someone who's manipulating other people, some individual. Maybe it's in a relationship, a poor relationship, mind you, but maybe it's in a relationship, whether, maybe it's their friend circle, whatever. Oftentimes, some of these individuals will build their entire persona, their entire facade off of lies. And it just takes that one person saying, hey, this is reality. Grass is green. The sky is blue. What's up, Gasky? What's up, Lucas? And all of a sudden, all of it falls down. So there's a lot of people, a lot of intentional effort that's run by corporations, run by individuals, run by organizations to keep people in the lie because the truth is dangerous to them. And not only is it dangerous to them, sometimes when you look at certain communities that are built off of lies, the people get so involved in it, they're in such a state of psychosis that if they were to actually find out the truth, their mind literally would not be able to handle it. They'll shatter. They'll break down so much that they may have a hard time picking themselves back up and building themselves back up. Some people, not everyone. Some people need to have the illusion shattered so they can wake up and so they can actually start seeing the truth. Others, that doesn't work as well. And they rather just, like I said, eat the steak. So I've been thinking about this concept of how I was mentioning in the last live, how I think I heard Erica Badu say there's 3 different types of people. There's 85% of the people, which are followers. So let me write this down. So 85% are followers, 10% are leaders or creators, put a slash, and 5% are observers. I'm gonna just say this and leave y'all with this. So I got 9 minutes. It's four types really, as many emotions a person have, ain't it? What's the fourth type then? Answer that question. I'll proceed from here, and we'll see what we come to. I do like that you presented that. Let me know what the fourth type is. So 85. This is the way the idea was presented to me, and now I'm not gonna say I believe this, but it does have a, let's say, a striking resemblance to the way things often work in reality. 85% of the people follow, meaning whatever those 10%, those leaders, those creators put out and say are the truth, they will follow it and they'll just do whatever's said. Now we could look at a very relatively recent example that a lot of people like to forget. What happened at the end of 2019 and beginning of 2020 worldwide? What happened? You know it. Okay. So in 2020, this thing happens. All of a sudden, everyone is leaving work. All of the businesses shut down. Everyone is putting on masks. Everyone is standing 6 feet apart. Everyone is panicking. Everyone is scared to get sick. People are at the beach standing 6 feet apart because they're afraid of this thing that could be in the air. And for those who are actually paying attention, it was all a lie. There were things happening, yes. There were people getting sick. There were people that passed. But that's what was being presented to be the truth was not the truth. Because the truth would have been dangerous in that case. They wouldn't have been able to do the things that they were able to do then. Oh, I wish I can dig in on this, but I'm on YouTube. I'm well aware that I'm well aware of where I am right now. Okay. And then what happens 9 to 12 months later? All of a sudden, we have this. Everybody's getting this, right? Everybody's getting that right there. And then some months later, oh no, there's a new kind. There's a new one out. A new one just dropped. Oh, there's another one. The one that you were using for that last one, it doesn't work anymore. A new one just dropped again. And then after about another 2 years, I'll just call it what it is. FDA pulled the approval and they removed it, the emergency approval, and basically said that the ones that they were using initially weren't safe in the first place. So then certain people who were in the third category, observers, they start calling it out. And lo and behold, they all of a sudden other people come out and they're like, no, it's because there was a new version, a new version, a remix dropped, and the old didn't work anymore. No, it didn't work in the first fucking place because the intent of it was not to make people healthy. That entire industry is fucked. It's been fucked from the beginning. That shit doesn't help. And I'll give a very clear example. I, as a child, received plenty of shots. Growing up, I grew up in the 90s. Plenty of shots. All day and night. And the thing is, I was very sickly as a child. I would catch bronchitis and I would catch pneumonia at the same time. I had asthma, very heavy asthma, chronic asthma. It was basically expected that around a certain period of the year, I would end up hospitalized for a week, 2 weeks, because I would have an asthma attack and it would cause me to catch bronchitis and pneumonia and this and that and hay fever and rhinitis and all that shit. And as I started to get older, when I was about 16, 17, I started to grow out of it. And as I started to change my habits, not eating certain things, cutting out soda. I haven't had soda in probably like a fucking decade. Not more recently, not having meat anymore, staying more hydrated, drinking water, Cutting out bullshit, cutting out junk food. And then all of a sudden, I didn't have any asthma attacks anymore. And it just stopped. This mystery that was just plaguing me that none of the doctors knew how to do anything about except continue to pump medication into my body that only just kind of helped abate the symptoms. All of a sudden, it just disappeared. Okay, so I also had carpal tunnel through high school, and they had me on a wrist brace. They're talking about doing surgery, all these kind of things. They might have to cut my nerves. And I was like, nah, I don't know if I want to do that. Let me hold off on it because that happened to my mother and it didn't really work too well. Right? And when I'm in my early 20s, I think I was 20 or 21, I pick up yoga and, start getting in certain poses as I really get in the process of doing it daily, every single day at the same time. Very disciplined with it, literally every day for an hour, hour and a half, 2, 3 hours. All of a sudden, I didn't have any pains in my wrist anymore. So where the fuck did that carpal tunnel go? Oh, it was in the habits. I learned the truth about it. They were trying to sell your nerves. It was a donor match. Yeah, I think you might be on to something, my friend. I think you might be on to something. So my point is, if you relate this to what was going on 5 years ago, you'll see that there are certain games that are played on people. That was just probably the greatest scale of the game being played on the masses. But there's certain games that are played to keep people within a lie, to get them to act a certain way, because there are ways to control people's behavior en masse by having them all believe in a certain thing. And this is why myself and many of the people that I walk with, we don't believe in anything. Belief is really the dangerous thing. I put truth is dangerous, but that was clickbait. It's really belief that's the problem. What you really want to do is you want to know a thing, right? So, let me see if I can find a paper towel. Hold on. I got 2 minutes. So let me erase this. So there's this man named Dr. Malachi Z. York. After you subscribe, I want you to look him up, and just search Dr. Malachi Z. York teaching. This man spent 50 years or more, really, teaching, writing books, and all sorts of other things to help people understand how to move from belief into knowing. All right, so followers, you got observers, and actually, no, I want to go this way. And leaders. All right, so I'm gonna restructure this a little bit. Y'all remember the Venn diagrams from school, right? You got this circle right here on this one right here interlaps with that. These are terrible circles, but you get the point. This one right here interconnects with this one. So, Dr. Malachi Z. York he's currently 80 years old, and he's been in prison in Colorado ADX maximum security prison, the highest security prison in the United States, on a 135-year sentence for false charges. I've thoroughly analyzed and read and broke down the case files, and I know for certain these are false charges. It was made of lies. It was a conspiracy. And the reason why he's been in there for 23, actually more than 23, out of those 135 years he's been sentenced, is because he was waking people up to the truth. How did he do this? So he, just in brief, like I said, I actually got to go right now, but he started out in New York, in Brooklyn, started a community there, of people who were self-sufficient. They had their own stores, they had their own schools. He had them in disciplined in, in the faith of Islam at that particular time, and had really built the community to where it was actually beneficial to everyone around. He actually received the key to the city around that time because of the things that he was doing for people. Right. Larry, you mentioned Larry Hoover. Larry Hoover was actually his. He was in the same dorm as him. Him and Larry Hoover were friends. They used the same phone call to. They used the same phone to make calls out of from Colorado ADX. So Larry Hoover is actually his student. So he started there, traveled around other different places, established different communities. All the way he's taking people through all these schools goes from Islam to Christianity to Judaism to Hebrew Israelites to the Moorish sciences to Native American to Egyptian spirituality and sciences, all the way through. And in the late 90s, he founded a land called Tama-Re in Georgia. You can look it up. It's Tamare. Spelled like this. Tama-Re. Now on this land, it'll say, if you really, really dig, it'll say he brought thousands of people through. But from my estimations, and from the amount of and different types of people that were coming through, there were literally hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of people who came through and visited that land. He built three pyramids, built the sundial. There was temples. There were schools that were built there. They had their own stores, their own community center. They had their own policing system. They had their own currency. They had everything. And this was a land where people of all kinds could come and learn and share knowledge, learn new languages, learn new skills, learn new crafts, be able to learn the ancient Egyptian language, Nuwapic, which he brought forth and resurrected. People were able to let their kids run off and play, and the parents didn't have to worry about anything. All these things because of this land that he set up. It's 476 acres of land in Eatonville, Georgia. And he actually had another 100 or so acres that was in process of being brought together with it, that would have made it so he could create a whole county here. This is essentially a sovereign land, what they will call a sovereign city. Now, he was arrested. All sorts of smut was put on his name. Like I said, I've thoroughly analyzed the case files, and it was false. And they later ended up demolishing Tama-Re because there were bad actors that were there. There were bad actors in certain organizations that corroborated with these bad actors that were there. People that felt disgruntled, people that felt like they got passed over, people that felt like he didn't see them or he wasn't helping them enough individually, or people that, there's all sorts of reasons, but essentially there was a conspiracy to take him down. And, there are some people who the feds and such things had, record of charges on or pending charges on, and they were going to have to sit down for 10, 20, 40 years, and they couldn't bear the weight. So instead they got pulled in an interrogation room. They told them, hey, okay, if you do this and you just say, you just go ahead and say that he did it and this was his actions, he did these things, then we'll go ahead and wipe your slate clean. We'll give you immunity. Right? So they did, and they got a bunch of people to come together and lie. There's some people that really probably didn't even really exist that they put in the files as well. Stacked up the docket, boom, threw them in jail. And, essentially the whole trial was just a whole kangaroo court, as they put it. Right? This is because he was presenting the truth. Now, one thing that he would say, and I'll go ahead and echo to you, is don't believe me, go check it out. Go look up the case files. Go to on Instagram, 1440 Ta, 1440 TAH. Go to his Instagram, 1440 TAH. Go to his Instagram, hit the link that says Dr. York's books, and the case files are actually in there. We have all the case files, about 3,700 pages. Go through and look into it and see what's going on. This was a RICO case. So how is it a RICO case when RICO is for racketeering and conspiracy, And typically those are used on, like, mobsters. They use it on YSL, took down their whole crew, this crew and that crew. How is it that they push the RICO case and he's the only person that sat down? He's the only person in there. Everyone else was released, right? There's certain questions that come up with this. And as you start exploring the answers to these questions, you'll get closer to the truth of what is. Now, this last little note. I think I got, hold on one second. All right, I might have about 60 more seconds. Make sure you subscribe, because there's a lot more coming on this a little bit later. So, last little note. You see here, I got this little Venn diagram poorly drawn. Got the followers, got the observers, or followers, got the leaders, got the observers in the middle, right? Remember, we said the followers were 85% of the people. The leaders, about 10%. And mind you, I don't know if these figures are true math, so don't take my word for it. But I'm just going to say that, just use this for example's sake. So, followers are going to be followers, right? Oftentimes, these people that just kind of stay in that position, they're just going to be free. They're not going to be critical thinkers. They're not going to be the type who, actually will ask questions, and they're just going to go along with the show, and that's fine. Because truth be told, if that's the case, then the world needs that. They have their position, they have their place, right? Organizations need workers. Leaders, those 10%, they're going to be the ones that set the trends. They're going to be the ones who are creating things. Whether it's from as simple things as creating content, or creating organizations, creating new schools, creating something, right? The leaders are going to be that 10%. Now, the observers, and this is the point that Erica Badu touched on, that I'll expand on a little bit. The observers, that 5%, they sit back and they'll watch everything that's going on. And you're right, it takes a group of everybody to help. That's right. Everyone has their role. Not everybody, we don't need 100% leaders, because that'd be super annoying. Everybody just be bumping heads. But these observers, these are the ones that are probably the most terrifying to anyone who has any sort of organization. They try to deploy any kind of propaganda or PSYOP campaign, or even just a simple marketing campaign. Because the observers, they'll sit back and watch, and they'll just pay attention to what's going on. They'll watch how things are going. And oftentimes, because they sit back and watch and they stay silent for so long, they will come across the truth more quickly than even the leaders do. So what'll happen? Either A, and this is the point that Erica Badu called out, but I'm going to show a couple alternatives. A, observers end up getting taken down. They get, they get slandered. They get disenfranchised. They get pushed off to the side. They get marginalized, right? And, people say, oh, you're crazy, you're paranoid, blah, 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 blah. This is how observers are often treated, even if they're speaking the truth, because the truth is dangerous to certain individuals and organizations. So it makes it dangerous to them as well. The other end of this, and what also is possible, is these observers will oftentimes, and this is just with the flow of things, because nothing stays still, right? There's always a cycle, a spiral. I can't really get into this concept as much as I like to, but if you go back to my Grown Man Talk podcast on my channel, I think it was the 3rd episode, is Portals, Prosperity, and something. That one I was breaking down kind of the upward spiral or the downward spiral. The Cliff Notes is nothing stays the same. You either are pushing forward or you're falling backwards and down, right? You're spiraling up or you're spiraling down. Napoleon Hill breaks down this concept very thoroughly in his book Outwitting the Devil as well, and when he gets into the conversation about drifting. Basically, the people who stand still and they're just standing there watching and they don't take action at all, they end up drifting backwards and they become a follower, right? Or, like I said, you have those other outcomes that could possibly happen to them. But the ones who choose to see the truth, and let's say they're looking at what's going on, and they're like, you know what, I don't like this. I don't like this at all. I don't like what's going on with this. People need to know the truth, right? Those people that are observers will oftentimes step forward right when time is right and become leaders, if they choose to. Those are the ones that step forward to become leaders. Now, I don't know fully what kind of being Dr. Malachi Z. York gets or is, but I can say from me studying his work, he definitely has massive observational capacity, massive, beyond anything I've ever seen. And he's definitely a leader. People don't call him the master teacher for nothing, and he's not just a teacher. People don't call him that for nothing. He's a builder as well. He's done a lot of things. You'll kind of see as you start to investigate and look into it. So what I would urge you guys to do, as I wrap up here, quite a bit late, is first of all subscribe, because I have some more coming up on this topic later. We're going to do more talks like this if you appreciated it. And second, like I said, go to 1440 Taz Instagram and hit the link that says Dr. York's books for free. You can go through and you can find any of his books. He's given the signal that, you know, it can be given out for free just to get the knowledge to the people. But also I want you to look at the case files in there. If you stumble across Google or Wikipedia and you see something that strikes you the wrong way. And just remember, you have to really pay attention to find what the truth is. Don't just listen to what people say. Don't believe people. Go check shit out. The next thing I would say is, while you're on YouTube, search Dr. York teaching and just put in a subject, any subject, and just hit play and listen and see what happens. You'll be surprised what you will pick up. It may not be for you, and that's fine. But if it is, you'll find that you'll have these epiphanies, these kind of insights, these genetic explosions that might set you on the path to actually really finding the truth about whatever you're looking for. So, the truth is dangerous, but the truth is necessary. And those that the truth is most dangerous to, well, their time is up anyway. So I'll go ahead and wrap it up here. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe. Hadus Ashug, that means divine love. Wadu, peace.